Satya, mind, body, spirit, health, and healing.
I'm going to talk about Ashtanga Yoga. I'm just going to suggest you let the whole thing wash over you. Wash over you. And that which is ready, which you're ready for, will go through the sieve and you'll have it. You don't have to collect it. It'll be there. Something you're really ready to hear that I say, you will have heard the minute I say it, and you'll say, yeah, of course, that's right. And all it'll do is bring it into form for you, and that'll be done. And if anything I say, you say, I wonder if that's true or not. Forget it. Because it'll come up later. You don't have to worry now. Because anything you're ready to use, you now know. And all I can, in the course of my speaking or any other experience you have in the environment, is it will reinforce the fact you already know it. There's an interesting phenomenon that occurs as you work into different states of consciousness. That as you come into each new frequency of vibration or each new level of consciousness, you experience extraordinarily increased amounts of energy. Now, often you can't use this energy because you're not open to use it. And therefore, what you experience is a fantastic amount of tension build up. And the feeling, I've got to do something, tension created. In the chakra system, that is because you don't have any vehicles for expression in any chakra above your third chakra. And there's too much energy to be expressed that way. If you can just think now, and this is all, you can use it as a metaphor, you can use it at any level you want to use it. Think of seven energy centers all in a row, ascending row. From 1 at the bottom to 7 at the top. Muladhara, Svadhisthana, Manipura, Anahata, Vishuddha, Ajna, Sahaswara are the Sanskrit words. Now imagine that each of these levels defines a way in which energy can come into the system and a way in which energy can go out of the system. And everything below the number 4, 3 and down, energy can only come into the system through the gross body, through food, etc., like that. Now, taking these 7 steps, now think of this as the thing that goes through the 7 as a river. Okay? And you're going to travel up this river. This river is called the Sushumna. The first place you come to on this river, called the first chakra, is, think of it as being in the middle of a very wild wilderness in Africa, where there are wild animals, and you're into a survival concern. Your primary thing is to get roots and nuts and fruit and not be killed by tigers, and right? So that your total preoccupation at that point is with survival of you as a separate entity. Right? It's very much like an ape is like that. Survival of your body, survival of you as an individual, separate entity in form. And all the energy that you have is used to, right, keep you surviving as a separate entity. That's number 1. Now let's say you get that all cooled out, and you start to travel up this river. The next city you come to is like the Riviera. You still take energy in through all, like this. But now you've got the survival bit cooled out, and now you're part of a species that reproduces, and you start to experience desire for sexual desire. And so the second chakra is sort of sensual gratification, the gratification of experiencing and feeling and gratifying oneself. Still, I am me separate. I can survive. Now I'll enjoy. Okay? Enjoy is the second chakra term. If you go up the river a little further, you come to a combination of Wall Street and Washington and London. which is a third chakra type place, which is primarily concerned with ego mastery, control, power. It's extensions of the self. It's no longer for survival and it's no longer for sex. It's merely for enhancement of a symbolic self. So you may perform sexual acts for power. In other words, you may now perform a sexual act in the service of the third chakra. Or you may be a businessman who's collecting power for second chakra reason, because he's doing it as a sexual potency thing. And when he buys a new huge business, he has like an orgasm of gratification, of, wasn't that good? Now, those first three cities include about 99% of the population. And the river gets very narrow and it changes its tone completely. They got huge steamships and jets doing the first three. But the minute you start up that fourth one, it's like a rowboat, and very primitive type rowboat. And there are big signs between 3 and 4 saying, turn back here. We have what you want back at, the Hilton Inn and the Bunny Club. Don't be socially irresponsible. Go no further. Do good. You will feel good if you do good. Third chakra. Or before you go on, eat this. That's a good one. Or have you yet experienced Hidden Valley in southern Wyoming at 2 in the morning? But for some reason or other, some people see through the whole thing of the first 3 chakras. They see the kind of finiteness of the whole trip. They see that it isn't doing it, and they start up the 4th to the 4th chakra. Now, up until through the 3rd chakra, all the energy that can come out of the system only comes out through ego trips, through keeping yourself as separate. I am a finite point in time and space. First, I am protecting that finite time and point of space from you. Second, I'm going to make it with you to gratify this finite time and point in time and space. And the third one, I am going to control and master you, because I'm going to enhance my ego by doing that. And since all of the energy, therefore, can only come out in ego manifestations of me, I will do this, I think this, my will, what I want to do. If you try, it's like the huge telephone wires that carry wires from the generating plant. They are step-down transformers and step-down transformers and step-down transformers till you finally get it into the house, where you may bring it in 220 or even in 110 voltage. And at that point, that 110 is just about enough for your toaster. And if you try to feed 220, you'll burn out your toaster. Right? Well, that's the thing about ego situations. Each ego, you burn the ego out if you try to feed too much energy through it. Because each ego is like each homeowner. He can only handle the energy at such and such a level. Now, what happens to many, many people through many reasons, like they go to the Fillmore, or they go to a huge dance scene, or they go to some high energy thing like Woodstock, and they absorb through what you call a contact high. They absorb fantastic amounts of energy. It comes in a new way for them. It just comes into them. They don't eat it. It just, all their senses are information sent in through all their senses, because the first 3 not only allow it to come in through food, but through seeing, hearing, smelling, tasting, and touching. We say we get a high off, boy, look at that view. Doesn't that get you high? Or listen to that sound. Doesn't that turn you on? And so at a place like Woodstock or something like that, you overload the circuits. You feed everything in all at once. See? And there's huge amount of energy. People start to tune in on vast amounts of energy. They start to go behind the step-down transformer in terms of the amount of energy that's put in. But their responses that are available to them are often just the old responses, because that's all they know what to do about it. So they try to do it more and more. So you try to make love more and more and more and more. Or you try to collect more and more power, or change the world for good. Use your power. See, you get all this power and you got to do something about it. You eat and eat and eat until you practically explode, or you begin to see that eating is just going to go on and it's finite. Whatever it is. And when a certain set of prerequisites have been fulfilled, which come under the term, the word virag, meaning an end of worldliness, meaning an end of realizing that anything you're going to get in the first, second, and third chakra is really going to be enough, and that you can't use all the energy you got through those systems. You experience a despair, and then you, even though that little river gets very narrow and very absurd, it's the only thing to do. You don't do it because you're a courageous adventurer, setting out from the city and goodbye everybody, I'll see you later, and have a good trip and report back. You don't do it for that motive at all, because it's a drag. I mean, there's mosquitoes and, it's a whole draggy system compared to how groovy it can be back in the Riviera in New York or London. You do it because you begin to see the finiteness of every trip up until then, and there's nothing else to do but do it. It's the only thing you can do. Like, as long as you travel in a foreign country thinking I am traveling in a foreign country, you're a tourist, and it can't happen to you, because you're collecting photographs, tapes, and stuff which you're wearing like a coat, but it's not being absorbed because you're holding on to this core identity. And the ability to surrender into a new experience, to become one with it, to merge with it, then the thing happens to you. And as long as I am somebody from London who is traveling up that river, forget it. I'm not going to make it up that river. The only way I can make it up the river is when I've given up being somebody from London, and now all I am is somebody traveling up that river, because that's the only way I can be conscious enough to see how it all is at each new stage. When you get to the fourth chakra, the Anahata, in the Indian system, if you look at books, old Indian Hindu books, you'll see that the fourth through the seventh chakra is always lit by red beams that come from an Om that's up in a corner in a circle like a sun, and beams are coming down to the fourth, fifth, sixth, and seventh chakra, and then there's sort of a line, and then there's a grayish place in which 1, 2, and 3 are. And the fourth chakra is the chakra of compassion. It's the chakra of Grok, for those of you that are familiar with that metaphor. It's the chakra of realizing guts-wise the brotherhood of man. It's the chakra of realizing the unitive nature of things. It's the chakra of going beyond. It's Jung's chakra, really. See? Because Jung was a compassionate being, and Jung, when you go into Jung's collective unconscious, you begin to see, just as if you go into astrology, you begin to see who you are one level back. You begin to see that you're really an Aries, just doing Aries things, or you're really a Scorpio doing Scorpio things, or that you're really part of a dominant archetype, and you're just living out your archetypal thing. You're living out your legend, if you will, and all the stuff you thought was who you were is merely sort of second-order manifestation of that, and who you are is somebody behind that, right? Now, the minute you've done that, you have freed yourself from the original identification of who you are. In other words, you're getting perspective by going up one level of who you are. So, like Tim used to say to me, my old partner, Tim Leary, used to say, dig your own legend. Now, he wasn't saying it as a big ego trip, like, you enjoy your own legend, be legendary. He was saying, get out of your own predicament. You know, if you're going to be the Jewish mother, dig that you're being the Jewish mother. Don't sit around saying, well, I've got to take care of you. I've got to cook and I've got to sew and I've got to, I mean, see, the fourth chakra is the first chakra where one doesn't experience the feeling of separateness anymore. And waves, it's associated with waves of bliss, internal bliss. Waves of feeling of well-being. Waves of feeling of, oh, yeah, that's just the way it's supposed to be. Waves of love. Waves of togetherness, of unitive feeling, of that moment of, oh, yeah, here we are, that place. But most everybody has been on a very lean diet of that kind of stuff. And there are no habits of thought that allow you to be that person all the time. So you assume that you're just sort of going to take it and run, grab as much as you can. See, I'm going to get high next weekend, man, because I want to collect high. See, I want to collect high, since you are still defining yourself in third or second chakra or first chakra. Because there's no you to do it anymore. Fifth chakra is the chakra that is connected with Ramakrishna, is the one that we most associated with. It's a tremendous pull towards God. It's a tremendous pull towards turning inward and upward. It's Ramakrishna characteristically talked. Most of the Ramakrishna stories are fourth and fifth intertwining. He would go from loving the Divine Mother in all her forms, which is compassion, fourth chakra, to turning inward to go into that which was behind the Divine Mother, inside, higher, into merging with one. And sometimes I've told about how he'd say, get me tobacco, and they'd say, but you don't smoke. He'd say, well, I got to want something, or I'm going to leave. I'm going to leave my body. I got to have something to hold me down. I got to have a desire to keep me in the fourth chakra, or to keep me down into a body, which is even below that. Then there is the possibility of sixth chakra, which is the ajna. The fifth chakra is right down here in the throat. The sixth chakra is right here between the eyebrows. It's when thine eye becomes single, you will see it all. That's the sixth chakra, the single eye. And it's the eye of wisdom. It's the point of causal plane. It's the point when you're in the sixth chakra, when you've traveled up that far, you understand and know and are wise about all of the laws of the universe. You see how it all works. You are the Godhead at that point. You are the mind that creates all the laws of the universe. You are one with it all. You see just how it is, but you're still busy seeing how it all is. There's still a separateness. And it's only when you go into the seventh chakra, the thousand-petal lotus, that you come into total merging back into what's called a Param Brahma, or back into that which is behind all form. That was the seventh system, 7 levels.